Hello and welcome to this segment of This is Glendale. I'm Bet Chorus, and while Joe Dubinsky, my normal cohort, is vacationing in Florida, Beth Sullebarger has agreed to be our co-host. Thank you, Beth, and welcome.
Sure, thanks.
So what were you working on for the show?
I went to look at a house on Laurel that has new owners and has been transformed by architect Fritz Kuhlman. What about you?
Well, I took a tour again of the Rumpke Recycling Center to persuade everyone to keep recycling because it's such an important thing, and we learned a lot again about the whole process.
Okay.
And I also had a conversation with Dave Warman, Chief Warman, and Officer Haynes about self-protection classes that are going to be offered in the village.
Oh, sounds good. I understand that before Joe left town, he caught up with Beth Louder at the flower shop.
Yes, big anniversary or something. It's great.
Huh.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. Enjoy what you're going to watch. Hello and welcome to this segment of This is Glendale. I'm Bet Chorus, and today I am visiting the services of Rumpke Recycling, and with us today is Ann Gray. Welcome, Ann. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to come learn more and an update on how Glendale benefits from Rumpke Services Recycling.
Of course. Thank you for coming today.
I asked to come visit and bring things up to date because with the news that has been flooding everywhere about China pulling out of accepting some of the recycling wastes of the United States, there's been a lot of conversation that's saying, well, wait a minute, then that's going to change everything. Why should we bother? Could you educate us again as to why it's important and what Rumpke does to help us recycle and save the earth in some small manner?
I would definitely like to address that because we do get a lot of questions about people or from people wanting to know what's happening with the recycling. And I can assure everyone that anything that's on our acceptable items list, any acceptable material is being recycled. We're very fortunate that we're in the Midwest. We have a lot of markets available to us. Most of the material that's coming to Rumpke, 98% of the material that's coming to Rumpke is being sold domestically. And the material that's coming to Cincinnati is being sold in a maybe 250-mile radius. So it's being sold close to home. Previously, we did sell to China when actions by the Chinese government kind of came forward and they didn't want material from the rest of the world. Of course, we pulled back, but we had measures in place to accommodate that. Now, there are some communities, say particularly on the West Coast, that were very dependent on those Chinese markets. And unfortunately for some of those communities, they're having to landfill that material because they don't have markets for it. That is first and foremost what you have to have with this recyclable material. You have to have an end user that wants to make something new out of this material. And at Rumpke, we certainly do. We have those markets. They're consistent and they're very viable.
Can you give us some examples of where some products go and what happens with that product?
Sure. For example, the laundry detergent containers and the milk jugs go to a company in Northwest Ohio. I believe it's in Haviland. And they're taking those containers and making irrigation pipe. Paper is going to a manufacturing area in Wapakoneta. So again, not very far from us. Plastic is going to a company, for the most part, some of it to a company called Phoenix. So, and glass, of course, that's a great Ohio story. We have our own glass processing facility at Rumpke in Dayton. So all of the glass that comes into Cincinnati, all of those glass bottles and jars are broken here and transported to Dayton. And then Johns Manville, Owens Corning, Owens, Illinois, those companies that are Ohio companies are taking that glass and making new products. So that's a great success story.
That's terrific. You mentioned the word plastic, and there are many plastic items that are successfully recycled.
Right.
And maybe if you could waltz us through the process of when the big truck brings in the product and bring in the notion of the plastic bags.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because it certainly is an issue for us. And we know a lot of times people don't even realize it. They're maybe trying to be neat and tidy, and they're putting recyclable material in those plastic bags in their recycling container. But what that happens is that it requires that our sorters take more time to get that material out of the bag, and then those bags are flying all over the place and they get caught in the equipment. So this is the way it works. For all, when the trucks come to Rumpke Recycling, they're weighed. So they go over the scales, they come to the tipping floor, empty the material on the tipping floor, and then the process begins. with front-end loaders and a piece of equipment called a grappler. Equipment is loaded up to move that material systematically into the plant, which, by the way, we call a material recovery facility, or a MRF. So then we have the pre-sorters that are going through this material and pulling off things that are obviously things that we don't want. It could be great big pieces of wood or those plastic bags or scrap metal, whatever it might be.
Yes, I saw roaster pans, muffin pans,
Right.
Looked like car machine parts in the.
We see a lot of that,
Yeah.
and we don't want scrap metal. We're not equipped to deal with that. It will be pulled, it will go to a specialized metal recycler, but first of all, it could be harmful to our employees and also detrimental to the equipment. So that's a no. Please don't put that in your recycling bin. But the material goes through the pre-sort area, then we separate the cardboard. We remove the cardboard at the cardboard screeners. That's the first material to be removed. Then at the scalping machine, it's the first attempt to separate the paper from the containers. In addition to that, we're intentionally breaking the glass. So eventually it can be transported to our glass processing facility in Dayton. Then we have paper screeners that are going after the paper, and we also have optical scanners, which are the most sophisticated pieces of equipment that we have in the plant. They do a great job of any type of material that they're programmed to separate. They do it very effectively. After that, after the paper, then we go to a quality control area where our employees are pulling off those bags, pulling off metal, wood, whatever it might be. Then we have an overhead magnet that we use to attract the steel cans. We have optical scanners that attract the high density polyethylene. That would be the milk jugs and laundry detergent containers. We then have an eddy current that helps us separate the aluminum. Then we have another optical scanner that goes after the PET, so the water bottles and the 2-liter pop bottles. And then finally, we have an optical scanner that recognizes the cartons. So all of those methods help us separate this material by type, so it can then be baled and transported to the end users that are going to make new products.
These optical scanners, it sounds very state of the art. I mean, you must be
Yes.
leading the
Yes.
industry, I would guess.
We are. I mean, we feel that we're one of the fastest and most technologically advanced recycling facilities, definitely in the United States, and we're very proud of that. Company-wide, we're recycling about 1 billion pounds per year. Here in Cincinnati, it's about 1.3 million pounds per day. So we're doing a lot. And again, I just want to emphasize that no recyclable material that's on our acceptable items list is being landfilled. Okay, one thing that I don't want to forget to add, and it's very important, we've experienced fires in the past at Brumke Recycling, and even currently it's something that we deal with in our facility and also in the trucks. And sometimes we think the culprit could be lithium-ion batteries. And we really do not want people to put them in their trash cans or in the recycling containers. They're very flammable. So we ask that you take a look at the website for the solid waste district where you live, or take a look at our website with links to these websites so that you can take them to venues where they're properly disposed of. But quickly, let me go through the acceptable items. You can see all of the different categories, and I think that I'll focus on the plastic because we know that we get more questions about plastic than any other material. We ask our customers to forget about that symbol on the bottom, the triangle with the number in the center. That's indicating the type of plastic, not necessarily that that container can be recycled or that it can be recycled everywhere. So instead, we want you to take a look at the shape of the container. The top of the container should be narrower than the base. In other words, we want plastic bottles and jugs. The companies that we're selling to, and really most recyclers now, want the bottles and jugs. They're made by the blown mold method. So it has a lot to do with the way those containers are made. So please just focus on putting those plastic bottles and jugs in your recycling containers. And then of course, cartons, the metal, steel cans, aluminum cans, even aerosol cans, as long as they're totally empty. And the glass, clear, green, amber, blue, all of that glass we're looking for. Paper and cardboard. These are the things that we want. Pizza boxes, there's always a lot of controversy in families and among roommates with pizza boxes. If the pizza box is really messy, just throw it away. That's more trouble than it's worth to us. If it's not too bad, or maybe you can rip the lid off if the lid is clean, put that in your recycling bin and throw the messy bottom away. But we're looking for paper and cardboard, and we're also looking for more glass.
So bottom line, do not put any yogurt containers or ice cream containers that are plastic. The small mouth is what you want to look for.
Right. We want the plastic bottles and jugs.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for educating us again.
You're welcome.
And encouraging all of us to help save our Earth.
You're very welcome, and we know Glendale does a great job, so thank you for that.
Right. Thank you so much for watching. This is Beth Porras, and this is our segment of This is Glendale, and this is what we care about.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Beth Sulleberger. I'm a preservation consultant based in Glendale and a member of the Glendale Planning and Historic Preservation Commission. And I am here with Fritz Kuhlman, who's an architect. And we're standing in front of a house on Laurel that for many years was the home of Gene Mooney. However, it's recently acquired new owners who have made some changes, and Fritz is going to talk to us about that. Fritz, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an architect based in Covington, and I grew up in Green Hills, and so I spent time bumping around Glendale, and I always admired its beauty. And I'm a historian as well, historic preservationist, and very interested in mid-century modern, and I'm a member of CF3, which is Cincinnati Mid-Century Modern Preservation Group here in town.
Well, it sounds like you are the perfect person to remodel this house. And tell us what's interesting about this house.
Originally, the one interesting thing about it was that it had a hidden gem in the back. Woody Garber was a fellow resident, and he is a very well-known mid-century Cincinnati architect. Then he made an addition to this house, which is a 1953 ranch house, and in 1960-61, the second owners hired Woody to put a very modern addition on the rear. So unless you walked around the back, you wouldn't have known that was even there. And it's in stark contrast to the original house.
Well, can we go inside and take a look?
That sounds great. Hello. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Come on in.
So Nancy, this is really spectacular. How did you find your way to this house?
We had our realtor show it to us. I had seen it online and thought I wasn't going to look at it, but my husband convinced me to look at it. And when we walked through the door and looked out the back glass window and into the beautiful backyard, what's not to love?
Right.
We were sold.
Okay, but even so, you needed to make some changes. And so how did you connect with Fritz? And
Well, I can speak to that. Arlen and Susan Rissover were their realtor team, and they are the founders of CF3, the Mid-Century Modern Club, of which I'm a member. And they felt like they wanted to protect this house and protect the addition by Woody Garber. And so they advised Nancy and Philip to contact me. And so that was, I was very flattered on one level, but also it was really cool to be able to work on a project that Woody Garber had touched and to deal with his, sensitively deal with his language and his building. And it was a fun challenge to reinvent it on the front of the house.
right. So talk a little bit about the changes that you made to the inside.
Well, basically everything from here over is new. There was a house there, that was the kitchen, but we reconfigured it completely, made it more open to the living room and the dining area, enlarged the foyer. We were taking his language with how he handled this flat roof, which isn't exactly flat, but in doing that, it gave us an opportunity to make a clear story in the kitchen. And
It really is great because the clear story windows let in so much light.
They do, and the lovely thing is when you come in the front door and sit in the old living room, you can look out onto the front porch and you can see those beams that echo the beams here in this big room. So it really, especially when you're sitting in that position, you can really see the cohesiveness of the whole house.
Well, it's almost like two disparate parts of the house were married.
And the old parts are kind of like bookends now, and we've kind of pulled Woody Garber's part through the middle of the house to the front.
Good idea.
Well, thanks.
I think it just turned out beautifully. And so congratulations to both of you. And
Thank
Nancy,
you.
welcome to Glendale.
Thank you. We're really excited to be here. We've got great neighbors. It's a great community, and we love it here already.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'm Joe Dubinsky for This is Glendale, and I'm here with Beth Louder, who is celebrating her 35th anniversary as the owner, this month, as the owner of the Glendale Florist. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Joe. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you? So you're a second-generation owner. Can you tell us a little about history about the business?
Mm-hmm. My father opened the shop in '85, and we opened down on Sharon Road in what was formerly Jan's Florist. It was his retirement dream. We quickly outgrew the space, so he looked for a place to build, and this was available, and they built the building, and we moved in here in '87.
Wow.
And the rest is sort of history.
Yes, it is. A Glendale history, as a matter of fact. So did you work in the shop when you were growing up?
Well, I started working in the shop at 22, and that was when he opened.
Oh, okay.
This was retirement dream, and so his hobby when he was a kid, when we were kids, was working in a florist shop. So his weekends were spent helping Francis Petker, Jones the florist, and then when he was ready to retire, he opened his own store.
So what's some of your fondest recollections of those years working with your family in the business?
Well, when we were kids, we got to go and do charity work with them. They would go and do the different balls for the different colleges, hospitals, and we would go and hang out at the hotels where the events were and help. But then starting out in this shop, I got to bring my children with me to work.
Wow. So you did something very special, a special event on one of the things you did when you were working with your family as a florist. Can you explain what that was?
They were involved with the different charity ball, the Mount St. Joe's fundraisers, and we would go and help set up. And then we got left home with a babysitter, and they went to the ball.
Well, that's fun. So how many employees do you have?
We have 8.
Mm-hmm. And can you introduce them to our audience?
Yes. We have Sarah, and her daughter Cora comes to work. And we have Anna, Steve, who's been with us for 25 years, Haley, Joe, Sean, and Luke.
And let's not forget one other very important member of your
and then
business family here.
Customer service representative, we have Bella the dog, and my daughter Katie, and Abby helps out when we're really busy, my other daughter.
That's great. That's great. What do you enjoy most about being a florist?
Bringing joy to people. We're involved in all sorts of events in people's lives, and whether it's a happy or a sad day, flowers bring some joy.
So Beth, is there ever a time you don't like being a florist?
At the end of every holiday, when we're tired and crabby and everything hurts.
Can't imagine. So how many hours a day do you work like on a holiday? What's the normal for the eve of the holiday when you have to get all the flowers out?
Valentine's week, it's pretty much every day we're here 14 to 18 hours. When we're doing weddings, sometimes we don't even go home.
Oh my gosh.
There's been a couple of those days when the morning people came in and I'm sleeping on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
But long days.
Yeah,
but they're
I bet
fun
so.
days,
Yeah.
and it's great seeing the celebrations.
Many of our residents may not know how generous you are in the community, but you are. And so why do you feel it's important to give back?
Well, I'm a part of this community. I live here and my business is here. And I was just raised that if you were a part of a community, you should give to the community.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you, Beth. Congratulations on your 35th year as owner of the Glendale Florist. I'm Joe Dubinsky.
I'm Beth Louder.
And this is Glendale.
Hello, and welcome to this segment of This is Glendale. I'm Bet Chorus, and with me today are 2 Glendale police officers. First of all, we're going to address Chief Dave Warman, who's going to bring us up to date as to what it is we're doing here today and introduce the officer to us.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Roger Haynes, Grandmaster Roger Haynes, I'm sorry. He's a patrolman with us in our department. He's been in law enforcement for over 30 years, and he's been a self-defense karate instructor for children, adults for the last 40 years. Am I correct?
53 years.
53 years. Wow, that's a long time. But we got some exciting news. We're going to be putting on our first ever bullying class for kids. It's going to be at Town Hall on April the 25th, starting at 10 o'clock. If we have enough kids sign up, we'll have two classes, one following the other. They last about an hour to an hour and a half. But I want to let Roger talk about the class. It's one of the best series that he does. He teaches with the Salvation Army and puts these classes on a regular basis, and I'm proud to have him on our staff. So I'll let you all get
Great.
to work.
Thanks, Jay. And welcome again,
Well, thank you for having me.
Officer Haynes. What is Grand Master? What does that mean?
Grandmaster means that you've been in karate over 30 years.
Oh, so that title is definitely important in what we're
Yeah,
talking
you have to have
about
at
today.
least 30 years to have a title of Grandmaster, and it goes by what rank you. I'm a 10th degree black belt,
Wow.
and I've been in karate 53 years.
Well, I'm so excited for you to tell me a little bit what it is you're going to be teaching these kids about bullying. How do you approach that?
Well, we're giving a free class on bullying and personal safety. We're going to teach the kids the physical part of bullying, what to do if they are attacked by an assailant, if they choked, punched, or kicked at. Going to teach them how to defend themselves, and we're going to show them also how to empower them and make them feel good about themselves.
All of that sounds good, but I should think avoiding confrontation is probably something that you would teach upon as well.
Yes, we're gonna teach the kids how to avoid confrontation and walk away from trouble if you see it coming. One of the key things we're going to teach in the first 30 minutes of the class is the 7 different kinds of bullying. There's more to bullying than it is just physical.
Really?
You have spreading rumors. You have the internet bullying. You have also social exclusion bullying. You have where a child may say something to another child, just a false lie about them, and a rumor just spreads in the whole school. And when that kind of stuff happens, you have a feeling you don't want to be there because everybody is talking about you behind your back.
Right.
And so, in so doing that, we're going to role play the 7 different kinds of bullying.
Okay.
Myself and She's Woman. After we role play them, we're going to talk about them and identify them because a lot of kids are being bullied. They don't know they're being bullied.
Right.
In addition to the physical part of it, bullying is a very serious problem now. It can escalate into even more things as active shooter. There's kids, killing themselves behind bullying, and this to be taken very seriously. And everybody can benefit from this free class.
I'm wondering, do you do anything for like women's protection?
Yes, we're going to be doing several women's classes throughout the year, women's self-defense and personal safety. We're going to be teaching against date rape, also in case somebody breaks into your house, how to defend yourself, personal safety self-defense. I have a new class on human trafficking self-defense, abduction, and we're going to go into where, if somebody grabs your hair, grabs your purse, an unwanted advance, all that with the women's self-defense, personal safety. And in both classes, we're going to try to empower the women and empower the kids.
Exactly.
Bullying is very scary, very scary.
Right. That's fantastic. I appreciate so much your coming. Thank you, Officer
Thank you.
Grandmaster Haynes.
Well, thank you for having me.
I applaud your service and also your dedication to the martial arts. That's terrific, and that you're sharing your expertise.
We look forward to putting on this free class for the public.
Wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that's it for This is Glendale. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you for co-hosting.
My pleasure.
And for your segment, it was very interesting. Oh, speaking of segments, I have an addition to our recycling story. Hamilton County has a residential recycling incentive program that rewards communities for recycling. In 2019, Glendale achieved the top tier for recycling, and as a result, we received a payment of $7,500. It was used to reduce the cost of waste, trash, and recycling collection. So I applaud all of you Glendalians who are recycling now. I encourage those of you who haven't started to please do so. It's a worthwhile cause. Well, that's it. Shall we wrap this up? Sure. This is Glendale.